So here we are again, guys. We're gonna test the new missiles and the changes that they did to the Pantsir as well, to try to see if we can identify any changes that make a lot of difference to the missiles, okay? So we're gonna test it out with the Pantsir, with the AIM-9X, AIM-120C5. The AIM-120C5 is kind of not that big of a deal because it's a small little change that they did. But yeah, the IRIS-T, the Python 5, and the SAM-1C, right? So we're gonna check it out. The new stats of them. I already talked about these in the data mines video, but now we're gonna properly try to identify if we can see any differences. Remember, of course, there's one thing that we need to talk about is that I actually lost the footage from before. I was actually going to compare the old and new, but of course, because I completely, I changed the GPU and formatted the PC, I lost every single thing that I did. So we're kind of have to just guess a little bit here, okay? Yeah, the first thing is the Pantsir that received these changes. So they include a booster force increased by a tiny little bit, and the drag that got decreased with a little bit more wing area and a little bit more fin AOA, max fin AOA. So the missile should be maybe a little bit faster. I don't see it being so much because before it was actually going above this, but yeah, let's check it out. The actual speed when it's at Mach 1, it was around exactly 20 kilometers when the missile self-explode, that it was around Mach 1, which I tend to try to have kind of as a line of thinking over here, because of course, below Mach 1 you don't have any maneuverability. So it feels like it is a little bit better. So it got to the 20 mark at Mach 1.12. If I'm not mistaken, before it was around Mach 1. So maybe a little bit of a buff. Maybe. I have to check, but yeah, it's still a very fast missile. Should be able to turn a little bit better. Overall, very small, but probably a buff, okay? Again, just for you to know, when I call it a buff or a nerf, it means that it's getting improved, or, it's getting worse, right? Normally, dev server things are just fixes, but it's good to use the word buff and nerf just to differentiate if it's getting better or worse. Here I shot it at going upwards. It should be a lot worse, maybe. Let's see. So 10 kilometers, look at this, man. 10, 11, 12 kilometers, and it's still at Mach 2.7. You will see the difference in the other missiles. It's just incredible how much energy the Pantsir has, right? And it was at 18 kilometers, and oh my god, it's so good. So let's try the SLM AIM-120C5. So the Pantsir, it feels like a slight buff, but not by much. Barely feelable, okay? Barely feelable. Now we're gonna try it out. The AIM-120C5, but especially the AIM-9X, which got these changes. They include a better drag coefficient for the AIM-9X, a better overall thrust vectoring angle, overall improvements all over the place, but the lofting being removed. And the AIM-120C5 became the C7, right? And it got changed to having a little bit more weight, so 4 kilograms more overall, 4 or 5 kilograms more overall, okay? So let's see what they can do. We're gonna wait for the missile launch that I did there. So first, AIM-120C7 over here, which shouldn't be too much of a difference. It should always be around 10 kilometers that it will be on the travel distance there, that it will be below Mach 1. So let's see. Oh, why did it change? Why did it change? I didn't click to change. But yeah, where's the missile? Or it's like 12 kilometers or something like that, right? So another one being launched there. It's going to be the same, exact same basically, right? It might be a little bit different, but yeah, around 12, maybe 13 kilometers. I noticed that it is doing a little bit more lofting. I don't know if they changed something. I think they did, because they did change the autopilot stuff. So it probably is because of that. So I have a feeling that it is conserving a little bit more of the energy, but it's not by much. as you can see, a lot worse than the Pantsir still, right? A lot worse in terms of energy. I mean, Mach 1.09, 1.0 at 13 kilometers. So a little bit better than what it was just because of the autopilot stuff, probably. Let's see the AIM-9X. It got a way better, drag coefficient and a different way to deal with the thrust vectoring as well. This missile had around 8 kilometers, more or less, to Mach 1. Maybe a little bit better, like it was around 8 kilometers, so maybe a little bit better. So AIM-9X definitely, yeah, a little bit better. Not by much, not by much. If you compare it to the other video that I did, probably isn't going to be that it's going to be kind of the same, okay? So a little bit better of the AIM-9X, maybe a little bit better of the C7 because of the new autopilot. Let's check it out, the Spider. The Spider, by the way, got these changes that you're going to see on the screen right now. The main thing is, of course, that the Python 5 also got a different, drag coefficient. So now it is higher than what it was. So it should be a little bit worse on that regard. Also, it got actually a new oriental phase, and they added lofting to it and some other PID, autopilot changes. So it should be a different missile, maybe a nerf. Let's see. Back in the other dev server, it was one of the best IR missiles you had, but it would still be a little bit worse than some of the others. iDerby SR, they just changed the name, basically, so it won't even matter to check it out because of that. Let's wait for the Python 5 launch that I did. So they added the model as well. I already showed that in the other video. Let's see. So yeah, it's doing a very aggressive loft, but it's having a very low speed because of that, right? Turning a lot and having kind of a low speed. So Mach 2, very low speed, but at the same time, very aggressive loft, which should help a little bit, maybe. It's losing a lot of energy. I don't know. Mach 1 at around 8.2. That doesn't feel too different. I think the major change is more the way that it deploys the energy. Maybe it will be a little bit better to do certain types of shots, but worse for others. I don't know. It feels like it is pretty much the same. Loses a lot of energy while it's climbing like that, right? It's kind of weird. This was okay, right? I mean, clearly worse than the AIM-9X, right, in terms of energy. And I think it was better, wasn't it? I have to check, but I think it was better. So around Mach 1 at 8 kilometers, I would consider below Mach 1, by the way, something that is completely unusable for a maneuvering target, okay? Even above that, but just to have kind of a measuring distance there. So 8 kilometers. The AIM-9X, when it lost below Mach 1, it was around, 8 point something, 9 kilometers. And the AIM-120C7, right, around 13. The Pantsir, more than 20, so it can maintain very good speeds, right? So, I don't know. I have a feeling that the Python can go very far, as you see, 13 kilometers, but just for non-maneuvering targets. Right now, it loses a lot of energy in the early stages of the flight, meaning that it doesn't have a very good effective range. So, interesting. So now the Iris-T SLM, check it out, the changes that they did. So includes a way different booster. So they remove it for forever, the sustainer. And they actually added a booster that has 12 seconds. So a very long booster without a sustainer, but with a decreased power compared to the older booster. So before you had that 18.8 kilonewton booster for around 5 seconds, and then a sustainer. I don't remember how much, but anyway, now it has a 12-second, 12.6 kilonewton booster. Okay, that's the main thing. Other things include less prominent wing area multiplier, so maybe less drag, and also main thing, way less drag coefficient. So it should be way better in the terms of long range. These missiles are turning way too much. Jesus Christ, it's turning way too much. This is the difficult part to compare these missiles. But it's way better, I gotta say. It's way better. Look at that. Look at that. Already traveled 10 kilometers almost. And it's a Mach 2. And it did a very weird wobble here. So this is good, guys. This is already a buff. This is already a buff to the SLM. Let's take a look on the other ones. So yeah, look at this, man. 13 kilometers, 1.76. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, the IRIS-T now, much better missile with a missile that it's trying to turn a lot. Look at that. 17 kilometers, Mach 1.3. Maybe not on the level of the Pantsir, but it's still pretty amazing. It really is pretty amazing. Probably the second best missile in the game in the terms of energy, and probably the best overall missile with this performance. It really is very, very good, guys. Look at this. Mach 1 at 20 kilometers. This is almost as much level as the Pantsir. Of course, initially the Pantsir has a lot more energy, but still, this is incredible. And remember, this missile turns way better than the Pantsir. And of course, it is a lot harder to avoid since its IR seeker has a very good IRCCM. So this is amazing. What did they change here? Well, the booster itself is going to make the missile be slower than a Pantsir, but the thing is, it catches up basically because it has such a low drag compared to the other missiles, right? This is incredible. I mean, this is pretty good. And it has a even higher time of flight over here, so it can reach targets that are above 20 kilometers, unlike the Pantsir, right? I mean, look at this. It's going to hit the target above Mach 1.5, 14 kilometers away. So, yeah, IRIS-T, guys, severe, very big, change. How good it will be against a player, we're going to have to wait and test. I'm going to do probably one test with this missile later today, I don't know. But yeah, very aggressive loft. And just overall, a very good drag coefficient here. Just a very good drag in general. I mean, look at this. It doesn't lose speed. Of course, if it starts to turn, it will probably lose more. But look at this, man. This is an amazing drag that this aircraft has. This missile has. If he gets the... look at this. This is better than the Pantsir. The Pantsir was lower than this, wasn't it? 20 kilometer mark and better than a Pantsir. That's good. That's actually pretty interesting. So, yeah, IRIS-T SLM, pretty interesting, guys. So, again, it has an amazing drag coefficient, amazing wing area multiplier, amazing booster force. Just a very good missile. And then we're going to take a look on the SAM-1C. Here are the changes. Not very big, but still. So, as you see, the change mainly is for the drag as well. So, the missile should have less drag. You only messed with the drag coefficient. So remember, guys, drag coefficient is not the only thing that matters on a drag calculation, but it is one of the factors. So if only that thing is getting lower, for example, it means that the drag is actually getting lowered. For example, if the wing area is getting lower as well, or something like that, also it means that it will be better. But if the wing area is getting increased, for example, and the drag coefficient is getting lowered, sometimes it means that the drag is getting increased. So you have to just be careful, okay? So, yeah, let's see. This is the active radar homing. It's already tracking. Very good speed, very good acceleration. Doesn't have the most amount of speed. And it doesn't have as good as the IRIS-T on the terms of drag. It is losing a lot of energy at Mach 1 and 9.5. It is around a little bit better than the AIM-9X, of course, turning worse than the AIM-9X, right? So, yeah, not a bad missile, actually, but at the same time, not the greatest thing ever. So let's see for this one. Yeah, he has a lot of drag. Even with the lower edge drag coefficient, still loses a lot of energy. And yeah, it will have max effective range, 9 kilometers, something like that, maybe a little bit less. And basically, these are the changes. So yeah, overall, the biggest winner is the IRIS-T. The IRIS-T is the biggest, change over here. It's the best missile, probably surpassing the AIM-9X and the AIM-120C7. So now I think the IRIS-T might be the best one for you to get. Also, Python 5 a little bit better, maybe AIM-9X a little bit better, not by much, but maybe a little bit better. C7, I think, even though it has a little bit more weight, it is a better missile overall. Autopilot is better, the C7 than the C5. And the SAM as well got a buff. So overall, all buffs, the Pantsir as well, all basically increasing the performance of these missiles. But the Iris-T is the one that I think is the best, you know, the one that got the most out of this update. Okay, guys? So these are the objectified changes that they actually did. Of course, I'm measuring mainly energy over here, guys, which is the main force that drives a missile to be good. So speed is how we measure energy in this case. So yeah, that's kind of how it is, right? So very big buff to the Iris-T. Cannot wait to actually use this thing against the player. So yeah, see you guys on the next one, and bye. See you.